Aries, this is your tarot reading for the month of January. So welcome to you. Central card there, the Seven of Pentacles. It's about long-term investments, and that dominates the entire reading. So is this about investments? Because I hadn't seen it that way. The other thing that really does strike me is there are 3 knights in here. So it's a very action-packed month, but not necessarily a very strategic month, let's put it that way. Maybe it's more interesting which knight is missing. And the knight that's missing is the Knight of Wands, a knight that rushes into things. Not that the Knight of Swords doesn't rush a bit, but he's very fierce, he's very brave, fearless. And that was your past, that knight was in your past. So yeah, we've got 3 knights, so lots of action this month, lots of things going on. You're currently got the energy of the Queen of Pentacles. Now, I normally call her the single mother card, and then I quickly say you don't have to be female and you don't have to be a parent. But it is a card of having responsibilities and burdens, and maybe just struggling very little to take care of everything. You probably think you're doing a terrible job, but everybody else probably thinks you're doing a very good job. And later on, or maybe not even this month, maybe in the future, it sees you going inside yourself, looking for answers, which is no bad thing to do. But answers over what? Is it about money? Of course, the Queen of Pentacles could be worried about money. The Seven of Pentacles is about long-term investments. So yes, it could be, couldn't it? You could be thinking about money. The card that leads to the outcome is the Knight of Cups, the Knight of Love. Maybe a little bit of a fool for love. Maybe that's what leads to the outcome. Do you trust people a little bit too much? What would change the outcome is the Knight of Pentacles. He is very determined. You can rely on him, but painfully slow moving. So maybe if you thought through something a little bit more, you wouldn't enter it. Because the outcome is fear of the unknown. So you're racked with fear. Are you racked with fear about investments? You felt the need to invest in something, but now you're thinking, should I have done it? Is it the right thing to have done? Well, we'll find out for you, won't we? Now, the energy that runs throughout all of this is the Seven of Pentacles, which is about long-term investments, investing for the future. Does it mean financial investments? Well, normally it would do, but I'm sort of so reluctant to keep talking about money when there's every indication that the powers that be want to do away with money. So, but well, anyway, wealth management, investment, certainly looking towards the future and planning for the future and, laying down investments. So, I think a very positive card to have here. And it does influence all the other cards. I did hypothesize, is this reading all about finances? And I think it could be. I think it could be. That might be what it's telling us, yeah. As I said in the introduction, there are 3 knights in this reading. So they are cards of action, but maybe not giving that much thought to things. And certainly the Knight of Swords, which is in your past, is like that. He's the fiercest, he's the bravest, he's the least frightened of all knights. Very fast, maybe sometimes rushes into things a little. Not as bad as the Knight of Wands, who's noticeably the one knight that's missing in this spread. So maybe you're not rushing, but you were certainly fearless in the past. I wonder if you've been fearless in terms of investments, if you've taken out risky investments in the past. Maybe you have. Maybe you have. And maybe you're only just beginning to find out that they're somewhat risky. That would explain some of this. Because you see, right now, Aries, you're struggling a bit, probably financially. You're struggling a bit because you probably have dependents. I mean, I often call this Queen of Pentacles the single mother card, as though you've been left bringing up a family. But it might not be that. It might just be that you have things that you've got to take care of, and it's making you struggle a bit financially. Maybe it's because you've tied up money in long-term investments and you're looking at them and they're not doing so well at the moment. Maybe that's all it is. And maybe you're just being a bit mean on yourself because of they're not doing well. Maybe you don't have the money, maybe it is tied up, And you're thinking, oh, money's tied up and it's not as though it's making any money for me, I'm struggling a bit here. Maybe it's more that sort of a thing. In fact, I think this card tells us quite a lot, because I always say that you feel you're not doing so well, but others think that you are. So I wonder if things aren't as bad as you think they are. I think that's what I should read from this card. That actually you're taking a somewhat pessimistic view of things. Yeah. Later on, and it might be outside of January, you go searching inside yourself for answers. Do coming back to this idea of investments, there is absolute turmoil in the financial markets. And it's got to be somewhat coordinated and planned, hasn't it? And maybe you're someone who's always done somewhat risky investments and it's paid off, and suddenly they're not paying off, Maybe that's what it is, and maybe like me, you're beginning to realise that they're all rigged, it's all a game. You might as well put money on the horses, They're all designed to part the amateur investor from his money. And maybe it's that you're beginning to see. So you're going inside yourself and looking for answers, and how should I behave towards this? That does make some sense. That does make some sense. Anyway, let's just say whatever it is you're considering, it's not a bad thing to be doing. Not a bad thing to be doing. Nor is it a bad thing to go inside yourself and be a bit more stoical. And instead of saying, oh, this investment's not doing that well, and this one's, just to say, well, on balance, how are they? And am I in it for the long term or the short term? Because if I'm in it for the long term, does it even matter? Yeah, I think it's that sort of self-reflection that you need to do. Now, the energy that leads to the outcome is another Knight. This time it's the Knight of Cups. And he's the Knight of Love. He can be a bit of a fool for love. He can be taken in by others. He's loved by everyone as well, but he can be abused. Or used, should we say. Yeah. Does this alter it? Does it mean that we're talking about love and not money or investments? Maybe not. Maybe some of these risky investments, or what you perceive as risky investments, you're encouraged to take by somebody that you think highly of. When I say love, it can be that sort of love rather than, it can be a platonic love rather than a... I can't even say the other word to describe. I don't know what to say now. Tell me I've been nuts, don't they, YouTube? You know what I mean, the opposite of platonic anyway. So, it could be your love for something, you could love taking out risky investments and now you're having cold feet. I think that's probably the best way of describing it. What would change the outcome is another Knight, the Knight of Pentacles. So clearly what's important here is the difference between the Knight of Cups and the Knight of Pentacles. Well, the Knight of Cups is all about love. Bit of a fool. Yeah, gets taken for a ride. Whereas the Knight of Pentacles is determined. You can rely on him, he gets the job done. Whereas you can't rely on the Knight of Cups because he's likely to stray. He's the sort of person, he wears his heart on his sleeve. He is a lovely person. And I don't think he intends to be naughty, but, speaking in terms of a knight being male, but you may be female, but he's the sort of male that women throw themselves at, and he just can't help himself, but I don't think he means to play around. He's just so full of love. Whereas the Knight of Pentacles is much more austere, much more determined. You can really rely on him, but he's painfully slow. So it's the difference between the slow, determined, and the somewhat foolhardy that changes the outcome. And you see, the outcome isn't a great outcome, but is it a bad outcome? And I suspect it isn't. I suspect that's the twist to this. The outcome is the Moon card, which is being racked by fear of the unknown. But the key there is the unknown. Yeah, you're very fearful about something. I don't know what it is, but is it about investments? Fearful about your investments because you can see financial markets, etc., in turmoil, what's going to happen. But you really don't know. You don't know, and what's the point of worrying over what you don't know, and maybe we'll never know, Yeah, you're racked by fear. You're racked by fear because you've realised you've been taking risks. But I think you've always taken risks all your life. What's changed, Well, the environment's changed a bit, but, let's find out a bit about this fear, eh? So I'm going to seek clarity on this Moon card. What is it that you're fearful of? Well, the first card we get is the Empress. Now, she has command of her subconscious and those of others, but maybe a little bit flighty. Maybe that's what we should take from it. The next one is the Three of Wands. Planning something, but planning something quite radical. And the final card of clarity is the Page of Cups. Seeking something creative, seeking something new. So this fear comes from, I think you do like taking risks, but you perhaps feel that you've taken a few too many. It's a little bit too different for you. We will look at each individually. So yeah, the first card of clarity is the Empress. Very in touch with her emotions and those with others. So I don't think that if we're talking of investments, it's something you haven't thought about. But maybe you followed your heart more than your head. She's the divine feminine, that's for sure. Very in touch with nature. I mean, could these be sort of eco investments and you've never done them before? I don't know, it could be, you know. I'm more inclined to think that it's just that you've followed your heart more than your head. You know, you've just gone for it, taken a risk. The only other thing I'd say about her is she loves luxury, but not in a sort of greedy way. She wants everybody to enjoy the best in life. But I think how we should interpret it is, you've just done something and you're thinking, oh, did I follow my heart a bit too much there? I think so. That's what you're thinking, sorry. And next we have the Three of Wands. This is a card of planning. So you do plan things out, you do think things through. But then I think you often take the radical, the risky option. But you know, if you analyse things and you know you're taking a risky option, and chances are you're spreading your risks, I'm almost certain that that's a bad strategy to be taking. It might seem bad in the short term when many things seem to be going wrong, but over the long term, and remember that initial card about long-term investments, over the long term, I don't think it's a bad strategy. You're certainly thinking about very novel or risky things that you're not accustomed to. And maybe you're feeling a bit out of your comfort zone, but I don't think it's any more than that. And now we've got the Page of Cups, which is sort of going out seeking the radical, seeking the creative, seeking the new. So you have, haven't you? You've I think you do enjoy taking risks, but maybe you've gone out on more of a limb than usual. But I don't think it is that. I think you've taken such risks before. But for once, the signs, and if we are talking of investments, because we don't know for sure we are, but the signs are looking bad across a number of these riskier areas. You know, oh no, I'm not going to go into a little speech about what's the point of Bitcoin, but you know what I mean. There's all these sort of things that I don't know what they're for. I don't know what they're about, apart from parting people with their money. Well, you know, maybe we could say that about most goods and services these days, you know. I mean, they're all designed around limbic capitalism, aren't they, to get us addicted to them. Yeah, I think you've just gone out on, you're feeling exposed. But I don't know if you've any right to feel exposed, to be perfectly honest with you. But having said that, if it makes you feel like this, why the hell do you do it, you know? What's the point, if you're going to get all worried like this? Anyway, I can summarise for you. Aries, I think this is about investments. So excuse me for talking in terms of investments, because it doesn't have to be, but it probably is. I think you're a bit of a risk taker. And normally that's seen you do quite well. But right now, you're feeling a bit exposed. In fact, it may even be that you've been living off the money you make from, or at least it's been financing your lifestyle, the money from these investments, and right now it's not doing it. And it's causing you to worry. I think, no, you do love doing it. You love taking the risks. You love risky investments. You love the new. You love something different. You love being exposed. And it's seen you right in the past. But you're having cold feet now. You're frightened. Are you too exposed to too many risky things? Because the markets appear to be in a degree of turmoil. Certainly over what seem like risky investments. They might not even have seemed like risky investments in the past, but they do now. And if only you'd sort of been not acted as quickly, been a bit slower, a bit more staid, this could have been avoided. Are your investments really at risk? I don't know. I can't tell you that. But I've got the feeling that you should be more stoical and say, look, these were long-term investments. Some will do well, some will do badly. I'm in no position at this moment in time to determine it. It certainly makes you sort of go inside yourself looking for answers, which probably is no bad thing, but I think you just need to be more stoical all round about this. You'll tell me off if all your investments go bad because of what I've said, but yeah, I think it's saying, take a long-term view, and hopefully you've got some spread in these risks, but you're clearly feeling a bit vulnerable.